Hey everyone, welcome back to White Sparrow Living, Luke 12:6. I'm Wendy, and today we are doing some more Dollar Tree Christmas DIYs for your home decor. So let's get started. So I'm sure you guys have seen this nativity set that Dollar Tree carries every Christmas season, and I've used them in a few projects. These are just a couple of them. I put one in a dome that I made from a Dollar Tree vase and a candle holder, and I put some lights in there. It's so pretty this way, and I love it. And then I also used one in this tin can from Dollar Tree, added some lights and painted my little people and just made that whole scene I think it's just so magical. So I'm going to show you 3 new ways to use this. And as you see, it comes with Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, and then the 3 wise men, the manger, and then the platform or the base that you put it into. So I'm taking an 18-inch Dollar Tree sign, and you see this is the reversible kind, and it's really cute the way it is. So we're going to use that as a base for this project. And then I have this Mardi Gras sign that happens to be very close to the size of my skinny long sign, and it has a little piece on the top where it says New Orleans. I'm going to use that, but I'm going to be using the back of the sign. So I'm going to take my CRICUT spatula and carefully remove that from the front of the sign. Now there's a bunch of glue dots on there. I'll just get those off and make it as flat as I possibly can. And then I'm going to take the jute twine off the little holder that you would hang this up with, and I'll set that aside. I don't need that, but I just want to make sure that I have a nice clean back. So I first pulled off the sticker from my long sign, and I'm just going to do that on one side. I'm going to paint everything with my Waverly white chalk paint, but I just want to make sure that there's no letters or colors poking through. So I just pulled that sticker off as much as I could, and then I'll go over everything with my chalk paint. And I gave everything about 2 coats just to make sure that it was all nice and bright white. And for my base, I'm just going to paint the top side and the front side, and then the 2 side sides, the little side parts, because that's all that's going to show. So now I'm going to use 4 of Dollar Tree's little light up Christmas trees. 2 of them I'm going to leave the stands on, but 2 of them I'm going to take it off, and all you do is just have to pull it off and it just comes right off. And the way I'm going to set this up is I'm going to have the tall one with the base kind of towards the back, and then the smaller one towards the front, just so that it's kind of staggered and gives a nice finishing end to both sides. And then my Mardi Gras sign is going to sit on the back of my skinny sign. So I want to make sure that my trees are able to be on there. So the front one will be a little bit over the front edge, but I'm going to take a pencil and mark where those need to be, because what I want to do is make sure that I have room for all of my manger pieces. Now for this project, I painted all of my manger parts in Waverly ink, which is really just black. And then I'm going to measure the size of my sign, which is 18 inches. So 9 inches is the middle, and I want to make sure I get my manger and all of my pieces all centered around that center part of my sign or of my base. So originally what I had planned to do was make a mark where all of the little tabbies are. So I'm just making an elongated base that came with the package, and I thought it would be super easy just by taking a screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, and pounding it in there so that then I could stick my pieces into my board. But this board was having none of it. So I had to pivot and do a different idea. So I just took my wire cutters, and I'm going to cut all of the little tabs off. And then I took some black cardstock paper, and I'm going to make little tabbies that are going to glue onto the base itself. So I'm going to fold the little piece in half and then attach one side to the back of my manger, and then I'll glue the other part, the bottom part, onto my base. Do you see what I'm saying? And then that way it's also going to cover up my original pencil marks of where I was going to hammer into the wood. Now, if you didn't use a Dollar Tree wood sign and you just used like a 2x4 or something, the wood would be a lot softer, so it'd be easier to do that, and then you can just stick your pieces into that. But since this is like a particle board or some kind of, I don't know, really hard wood, it wasn't going in. I'm sure there would have been another way that I could have done this, but this was the easiest way for me to just use the little paper tabbies, which I should have thought of from the very beginning. So I'm going to place my manger and my Jesus, and then my Mary and Joseph on one side, and then the wise men over to the right, and then I'll put my trees in place, but I'm not putting any glue where the tree overlaps, and I'm going to use a whole bunch of glue on the one with the stand because there's a little gap in there. So I just gobbed on the glue and then it attached to the sign. And then I'm going to take my back piece and then using my brad nailer. Now I should have done this before I put my trees on. So all I'm going to do is kind of push it over and let it go at an angle, and I'm holding on real tight, and then I'm using my brad nailer and going all the way through the back of the board and then into the base. And you probably saw me point out that my holes from where the hanger, jute twine hanger was, I'm putting that against the bottom of the base so that it doesn't show and I didn't have to fill those in. And then I'll just add my trees to the other side. And then I have a little collection that you've probably seen me use before of little farm animals. So I had a couple of sheep, or I don't really know what they are, but they look like sheep. I think one's a ram, but I'm going to place that on there too. I think those are really cute. And then I'm going to take a black Sharpie pen and go around the edges of that New Orleans sign just to give it a little outline so that you'll be able to see it when I put it on my sign or the backboard. So now I'm going to take these Dollar Tree stamps with the letters on them. Now I had never used these before, so I found this little rosary holder. It's a plastic rosary holder. I bought it, or I think somebody gave it to me. But anyway, I'm going to use this. I think it's going to be perfect. Well, I know it's going to be perfect. At the time, I'm thinking it might be perfect, but now I know it is perfect. So what you want to do is I'm going to cut these apart. And originally I cut them in strips and then I started to cut them individually, but you do not want to do that because pulling off that back sheet is really hard individually. So if you just do it in a full row, you can make this go a lot faster and it's a lot easier. Now I did a test run using my invention, and Dollar Tree carries some acrylic holders that are supposed to do this for you. But this way you can put the letters into this little case when you're done with them. So I'm going to actually put the letters onto the case itself, and they just stick for some reason. I guess it's like kind of a window cling type thing. And then I'll put it into my stamp pad and then put it onto my sign. And I was really scared that I was going to mess up, so that's why I did it on the back first before doing it on the front. You can always paint over it and start over, but I think it came out so adorable. So once I get all my letters on there, I'm going to hot glue that to the top area of my backboard, and it's done. And here it is all finished, and I am so in love with this piece. I think it looks really high end. I love the black and white contrast with those silhouettes and the little shadows that it casts. And I don't think it looks like a Dollar Tree project at all. And just a little behind the scenes secret, Michael J is holding up the Bible behind it. But anyway, I love this and I hope you guys like it too. Now, if you guys know me, you know I love a collaboration, and when it's centered around Jesus, that makes it even better. And today I'm teaming up with two sweet sisters in Christ. We have Favi at Arrows DIY, who actually put our little team together and did all the beautiful graphics and came up with the theme. And this superwoman is a mommy to 6, yes, I said 6 babies. So total mommy props to Favi. And then we also have Kendra from Late Night Creations, and let me tell you, this girl makes some beautiful farmhouse and rustic decor. She does trash to treasures and thrift flips, and you won't even believe what this girl can do with a piece of scrap wood. So when you're done with my video, please head over to their channels and give them some love. I'll have our little playlist trio linked in the description box below. If you're stopping by from their channels, welcome to our little nest, and I'm so happy you're here. So for this next project, I picked up 3 of these super sweet frames, and I love them so much because they have this half bead look all the way around. But one thing about these is there's a little tab or excess plastic where I guess from the mold or something. So if you just use your craft knife, you can cut those off so that it's nice and smooth. So for this one on the nativity set, I'm going to cut those tabs off again using my wire cutters. And once I cut them off, there's a little bit of a rough edge there. So I'm going to use my sanding sponge to just sand that down and get them nice and smooth. So now I'm going to take my Waverly wax in antique and I'm just going to stain all of my pieces. And I'm only going to do one side, so I want to make sure it's the side for whichever way they're facing, the side that's going to be up. And I'm just taking a little rag and going over all of the pieces. And I love using this stain because it lets the grain of the wood show through, and I just think that's so pretty. And I want to make sure that I get all of the bottom portions too. The sides of these cutouts are kind of like burnt from the cutter, so they've already got that natural dark color. So now for the backing of my frames, I'm going to use this scrap piece of cardstock. It was the back of some decorative paper or something. I'm going to use my back insert kickstand thingy to use as a template so that I can get the right size to put inside of my frames. So now I'm just going to fill everything up, and I put my colored paper in first and didn't put the acrylic cover on top of it. I just put that behind it, and then I'll put that little piece of paper that comes with the frame and then the backboard, and then the little tabbies you just twist on to keep everything in place. So I'm going to use the middle one. I'm going to have it go horizontally because that's where baby Jesus is going to go. And then I'm going to put Mary and Joseph on the right one, and then the 3 wise men on the left frame. And then in the middle, I'll have Jesus. And then his manger fits perfectly into the little slot where my frame kind of goes in. So I'm just going to glue all of those down, and I was going to do a lot more, and I was going to put some pretty ribbon and burlap and stuff at the top in the middle, on the middle frame. But once it got done, I mean, tell me what you guys think. I think it looks so pretty, just the simplicity of it. And you've already got the half beads going around each of the frames, so that kind of makes it a little bit busier, but I just think it looks so pretty the way it is. So you can stand these up. I was thinking about attaching them all together and making it like a 3-way, you know, where it stands up by itself. I don't know. I just love it the way it is. So tell me what you guys think. Should I have kept going and added some more embellishments? I don't know. I almost feel guilty for it being so stinking simple, but I love it, and I hope you guys like it too. So now for this next nativity scene, I'm going to cut off the little tabs again. And then this time I'm going to paint my wise men, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph in black. And then on my manger, I'm going to go ahead and just leave that one the natural wood. So Dollar Tree carries some red, white, and blue 4th of July boards. And I think this is so pretty with that red finish and with the star right at the top. So you can also use these for Christmas. So what I'm going to do here is glue down my manger first, and then I'm going to layer my other pieces on top of it. And so that's why we left the manger in the raw wood so that you could see it. And I went about 6 inches up because I did a design on my Cricut design space, so I knew what size to make my words. So I'm going to put little baby Jesus right in the middle again, and then I'll put the wise men over to the left. I'm going to glue them onto the manger portion so it's kind of lifted up. And then I want Joseph lifted up too. So the little tabbies that I cut off with my wire cutters, I'm going to glue those down, and then that gives me something to attach Joseph to in the back. And then his hands and the bottom of his feet are kind of overlapping onto the manger as well. And then Mary's going to go right on top of Joseph. And I think this just gives it a really pretty layered look with those colors. But this is, you can see the difference. You have to have contrast between the manger and the black figurines. So then on my design space, I cut out the phrase, "For God so loved the world." And the font that I used is called DRAGONLORD, which I really didn't like the name of it. But I thought it was really pretty because it has the little flared out R's. So I'm going to put 4 at the top above my star. And then I'm going to add God, and then loved, and then world, because I can put God first. Well, of course, you want to always put God first, but then put world at the bottom, and then you can center the word loved. And I accidentally ripped off the R on my world, and so I had to piece that back together, but you can't even see it. And so then I'm going to put loved right in the middle of God and world, and then I'll add my smaller pieces of so and the right in between those bigger words. You see what I'm saying? So now it's time to make our Christmas embellishment, and I'm going to use some black and red gingham ribbon from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to add also some grosgrain white ribbon, and I'm just going to put those two together and then dovetail the edge. You know, I've been calling the end of a ribbon the edge, and it should be the end. I don't know why. I just noticed that when I was doing my 8-hour video. I've always called it the edge of the ribbon, but it's not the edge, it's the end of the ribbon. Anyway, so I'm going to fold that over, and I did 3 or 4 loops on each side. I really shouldn't have done so many because I have it doubled up. So anyway, it's a little big, but that's okay. Sometimes more is more. So I'm going to do a big loop at the bottom because that's going to become our tails. And then right in the middle, I'll make those little snips so that when I put my pipe cleaner in around it, it'll be able to move those loops a little easier to get it to the way you want it to look. So you see here, I've got my pipe cleaner right in those little snips, and then I'm going to twist it, and then that way it just goes right in between there and stays snug as a bug in a rug, but you can still twisty and turny those loops and get them all foofed out. Now originally I was going to use my craft stick to push it up above because I didn't want it to cover my 4. And so I'm going to end up making it a side piece or a corner piece. But all I did was got some greenery. I'm going to cut some little sprigs off and then attach them. I had 2 going one way and 2 going the other. And then I'm going to put my bow right in the middle, but I'm going to have my popsicle stick also attached. Once I get my bow onto the middle of my 2 little sprigs, I was going to use that and, kind of have it lifted up and glue it onto the back of my sign right in the middle. Then I decided I'm going to use that popsicle stick to give me some area to actually glue onto the sign. So I just cut off the sides, and then I'm going to hot glue that to the corner of my piece. So instead of my little sprig being completely straight and going across the top, I'm going to bend it at a 90-degree angle and then attach it right in that corner. And this way there's more glue to hang on and it'll stay in place. And then I'll take those ends of my ribbon and kind of flow them through that greenery. And here it is, all finished, and I love this so much. A lot of times we don't think of John 3:16 as a Christmas scripture, but I think it sums up the whole reason that God did what he did and how much he truly loves us. I love this and I love God, and I hope you guys like it too. So during the fall and Halloween time in the Dollar Tree Plus section, I found these adorable boards. They're kind of like sandwich signs, or, you know, the stand-up kind. It was Halloween stuff and it is cute, but, you know, we don't want any witches in, in this joint. So I'm going to use this as a Christmas sign, and you can see it's got a kickstand here so it'll stand up. You could put this in the corner or anywhere really, even on the porch would be really cute. So I'm going to measure it. It came out to 15.5 inches long by 13.5 inches wide. I'm having to pick it up because I can't read that far away with my bad eyes. So I'm going to take some of this Dollar Tree wallpaper, and this is self-adhesive. Now you could paint this, but there was a layer of paper on there and that always kind of buckles up. So I really didn't want to pull it up off of the cardboard. So I thought this would be a lot easier. So one thing that I do want to say is once you get it down, you better get it down, because you are able to pull it up again if you don't get it perfectly straight. But just be careful because you don't want to rip it. I mean, if you have plenty of pieces, then that's fine. But anyway, I'm going to overlap it. And because these are planks and it's got those lines going down, you can't even see that seam of where I overlapped it. So I'm going to get both pieces down, and I found it was easier just to pull a little bit of the backing sheet up at a time and then roll it down as you go. So my first piece, I did have some wrinkles, but on the second piece, I felt like a pro on this. So once I get it all on there, there's going to be a teeny bit that's overlapping at the bottom. So I'm just going to first use my fingernail to make a little crease in there, and then I went back in with my squeegee tool, and then I'm going to take my craft knife and cut along that crease, and then you have a perfectly flush edge that's all nice and finished. So I'm also going to take one of these little fresh flower market signs from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to take off the paper. I couldn't quite get it all the way off, so I decided instead to send it outside to Michael J so that he could sand off all of that paper. So I'm going to keep that jute twine hanger on also, because we'll be using that in a little bit. So I went back to my CRICUT design space and I made this cute decal, and it says Curtis Family Inn, and then I have another piece that says Open Daily. Now I forgot the name of these fonts, but they had to do with holiday. I think the top one is Holiday Berries. I'll just have them linked down below for you. But I thought this was super cute because it also has these little polka dots in them. So it was a little time consuming weeding it all the way out, but I just think it's so Christmassy and festive. So it was worth that extra time. So I really love using my scrap pieces of transfer tape or anything vinyl. I have little bins for each of them because I really don't want to be wasteful. So it's always good if you can find a piece that will fit a project. So when I pulled this off, I realized this is actually the Dollar Tree transfer tape, which I was a little bit nervous about and didn't think it was going to go right, but I just went ahead and tried it anyway, and then that way I could tell you guys how it worked. But I was really surprised. It worked like a charm. And it's very thin, but it still did the trick and came off of the paper and came, you know, let go from the vinyl. So I don't know. I've always heard bad things about this, and, you know, you get what you pay for sometimes. So I was really surprised, but it really worked. So I'm just going to put the top part on the big part of my decal, and then at the bottom I'm going to put Open Daily and get that on there as well. Now it took me forever to decide what color I was going to do this in. Originally I was going to do it in black, but then I decided just to bring it into more Christmassy looking decor, that the red was really better, and I was glad I used it. So I have a little stash of all the little wood pieces that you can get from Dollar Tree, and I had some sweet viewers send me some because I always had a hard time finding any of these things at my Dollar Tree. Anyway, I'm going to use one of these pieces to use as kind of a little hook. And then I want my sign holder, the little jute stuff. It's not jute, well, whatever it is, you know, the little holder there. I need it to be shorter so that it hangs right on my sign. So I'm just going to use some hot glue and glue that to the back and make it the size that I want. And then I'll hot glue my little wood piece to my sign also. So then I took a poster pen, and I want this to be kind of messy and look handwritten. So I wrote, "Welcome baby Jesus," and I'm going to hang that on my little hook. So now for some Christmas cuteness at the top, I'm going to take 2 stems from the Dollar Tree, and these are so pretty. They've got a lot of white in them. I'm just going to take a zip tie and wrap that around the middle. I'll put one again one way and then one going the other way. And they're already arranged, so I don't want to take them apart. I'm going to cut them off after they come together, do you know what I mean? So that they're not individual and I don't have to place, you know, I don't have to do the placement. It's already done for me. So I'm just going to get rid of that excess. And if you can't cut through that wire, you know, with your wire cutters, you can just go back and forth, rock it, and eventually it will snap right off. So I decided to add some of these really pretty berry picks as well before I put my zip tie on. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'll put 2 on one side and 2 on the other. And these I did have to cut off individually because they were too long. You know, they didn't have a place where they came together. Or they did, but it was way too low. And so that wasn't going to work. So I'm just going to cut those off with my wire cutters and then add those. And then I'll add my zip tie. So now for this perky bow, I'm going to use this really pretty red sheer ribbon from the Dollar Tree. And I did a few foldovers. I think it was 3. I can't remember, but you can count here what I'm doing. And then I'll leave a long tail that was just what was left from the end of the roll. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the little snips on both sides of my ribbon. And then I'm going to add some burlap ribbon. But in the meantime, I can't really hold it very well or at the same time. So I'm just going to use a clamp and set it aside. And then I'll do that same thing with the burlap ribbon, but this time I'm going to make it a little bit shorter, you know, as far as how big the bow is going to be. And I was going to add a little red and white gingham bow, which I think you might see me make here, but I decided in the end it didn't need it. And you'll see, you could add more or, you know, change up your ribbons and make different bows or not have a bow at all. Either way you do it, it's still super cutie patootie. So once I get both of my bows made, I'm going to crunch those together and attach them with a chenille stem and go through that whole thing again like we did before and attach it to the middle of my greenery. And then I'm just going to take my hot glue and gob it on to the top of my sign and a little bit in the front down below there, just so that my little swag and the ribbon or the bows, they all have something to grab onto. And you just want to hold it there for a little while until that glue dries so that it stays snug as a bug in a rug, and then it's done. And here it is, all finished, and I am totally crushing on this sign. I love this, and I hope you guys like it too. I hope you enjoyed all of these projects, and if you did, don't forget to give them a thumbs up, comment, let me know what you think. If you're not already, I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button down below, as well as the little bell right next to it, so that you can be notified every time I upload a brand new video. Don't forget to check out Favi and Kendra's videos. Remember the reason for the season. I hope everyone has a blessed day, and remember to always be the light. Bye!